everybody, and welcome to another episode of Next Drift. We have another subscriber video for you today. This one comes to us an email from Robert D. from Connecticut. I am out of the Brantford area. If you could do a video of my area, it would be great. We fish Brantford out to Faulkner Island to the east and New Haven to the west. While I know a lot of great black sea bass and tog areas, I struggle with stripers and fluke in this area. Really want to get my son some nice stripers and fluke this year. Yeah, Robert, let's take a peek. As you can see, let's start from the furthest point east and we'll work west. Faulkner Island. Faulkner Island is one of those places that you hear about quite a bit. It's funny because one of my boats is in Clinton, just not too far from Faulkner Island, further east of it. And, I see it all the time. A lot of people see it, but you have so many other little areas over there that I think kind of Faulkner's, people know that there's fish over there, but I don't think a tremendous amount of people fish it. I know back years and years ago, it was a very popular place, very similar to how Fisher's Island is now, Isabella Beach when we're talking about fluke. But I think it's kind of, I think there was a couple years where the fluke fishing kind of started to dwindle down, and people just kind of forgot about it. I will say this, the fluke fishing in Long Island Sound has definitely decreased as far as size goes. You still see, 10, 11, 12 pounders being caught, but they're a little few and far between, much more numbers. There's a lot of good numbers of fluke. But they're keeper size fish. 19 to 24 inches is usually the average. But let's take a peek. Stripers, Faulkner Island. We've got two different things to look at here. Let's start with the stripers because that's probably the easiest. Stripers are going to be around these types of areas here. I mean, up close to shore. You've got the buoy over here. I know for a fact that there's a lot of stripers that hang out around this point, Stony Island. Lots of rocks, so obviously be careful when you're going up there. But what's interesting about this spot, same type of thing. You have a point that comes out with lots of rocks on it, and there's rocks out here. And this point, this underwater point, comes out into, again, deep water. This is going to be a great spot right up in here, on those nice warm summer mornings early. Especially when the bunker are up, shallow, this is going to be a terrific spot. Nighttime, this will be a good spot too for night if you want to go out and sling some eels, or chunk some bunker. This spot here will definitely produce. On the inside of it, same type of deal. You've got this deeper water trough that runs back here. So, you're talking almost 80 feet, and these two shallow points come out. And what it does is it offers the fish a feeding flat on each side of it to be able to search for bait. But it also gives them some deeper water access. And when the tide is flowing correctly, which to me is the outgoing. I think the outgoing on this type of spot is going to be best. These points here can be really good for hooking up with a couple nice stripers. So I think, as far as Faulkner Island goes, you got this other point here too. To be brutally honest, I haven't fished over here too much for stripers recently. But, you have all these different contours, and it's literally a big flat with deep water around it. So do some exploring. Have a topwater tied on, a big one knocker plug, walking plug like a Zara Spook or something like that. Have one of those tied on just in case, you can cast it up shallow, walk it and see what's around. Or soft plastic bait, there's a lot of good ones out there. I know one of the popular ones around here that a lot of guys use is the Cobra bait Sad Shad. That's a very popular bait that guys are using for stripers around this area. Let's talk about fluke. I did some exploring over here 2 years ago for fluke, just because it was kind of one of those things where I said, you know what, it's probably people aren't paying attention to it. And I'll tell you, we caught some, and it was right before the hurricane, unfortunately, so I didn't get to give it as much time as I wanted to. But we literally fished from right out here, right along this contour break, in that 60-foot range, and we fished right up through a little past this buoy. Now we did a few passes, and we unfortunately got blown off the water because of the hurricane, but we ended up catching quite a few. A couple keepers, lots of numbers, but I really never got back there to actually really give it the old heave-ho. I think this area could potentially be one of those shallow water fluke spots, you know, fishing in this 25, 30-foot range. I really think there's a lot of bigger fluke in the Sound that use that shallow water area. So give that a shot. You know, on the outgoing tide, I would definitely check this out. Outgoing or incoming, I really don't think that matters too much. I have a tendency to like the incoming for fluke better. That's just my preference. I think having that nice, fresh, clean water coming back in from the ocean side is something that definitely gets them triggered. But you know, you can try both sides of this area. You know, try out here. You've got some deeper water that runs up in here. You know, in that 60, 70-foot range. Try it out. Do a bunch of different drifts. Try some different size bucktails. A gulp is always, you know, always the way to go. I feel like gulp outfishes even, you know, live bait, you know, squid or anything like that. But fish it whichever way you would like. I would try a bunch of different techniques. Try a bunch of different drifts across this area over here. And, you know, try deep, try shallow, try the backside, try off the end of this point. You know, this could be one of those spots that, you know, you find has a lot of fluke, and I can guarantee you there won't be a lot of pressure on that spot. So let's take a little peek. So now over here, if we're gonna move further west, you know, we've got Brantford Reef. Is another, you know, same thing, rocks. You know, you've got the lighthouse up here. Anytime I see rocks and a lighthouse, that means stripers. I mean, you know, look, check out this point that's back here. I mean, look at this thing. There's going to be stripers that use this depression back here. You know, there could be a school of stripers that uses this hole to kind of set up in during, you know, slack tide, and then once the tide starts moving, they'll pull up onto this point here and use it for feeding. And you can see how tight these contour lines are in here, which means that it's, you know, it's steeper drop off. So the end of this point is real shallow, and then it just kind of dives right off. So this looks like a great spot in here. You know, you've got some other shallower spots. You know, this could be that early morning, late in the evening, or even nighttime spot for stripers. I would definitely, you know, check out all these little points that are running out here towards this, you know, the deeper water. Same thing over here. You've got a lot of contour. Just be careful, please. You know, it looks like there's a lot of hazards out this way. I don't spend too much time here, but I'll tell you what. Look at this place. You know, again, this is, you know, you've got an island here. You've got a lot of depth. It drops off to almost 100 feet in this big hole with this giant vertical drop off. Basically, you can see how dark these contour lines are. You know, this is going to be another great spot to use a topwater bait for stripers, and kind of find out. You got to do some exploring and some experimenting to see where the stripers are positioning themselves on any given tide. They're usually most of the time going to kind of do the same thing day after day, as long as the bait stays around. So if you go up there, a surface plug is the best way to find out. Make a few casts, see what comes up after it, and then you're going to kind of know where those fish are positioning themselves. But I have to think that, anywhere around this area is going to be pretty good. Fluke, same type of deal. It really depends on what the water temperature is going to be, the time of year that you're looking. But you could probably find some decent shallow fluke on a lot of these spots. Any of these high bars, there's kind of a high spot that runs over here near East Reef, in this 25 to 30 foot range. This could be a great spot. Over here, you've got this kind of trough. I'll guarantee you, if there's any type of bottom change, meaning the material, sand to gravel, gravel to chunkier rock, that transition zone, which this very well may be, you're going to have to find out if this is a transition zone between either sand and gravel or gravel and rock or vice versa. That's going to have fluke. I mean, this is a natural funnel location that the fish are going to use right here. It's access to deeper water. And I've said this a lot in videos before. When we talk about deep water, it's really not deep water that we talk about. It's fish having access to deeper water. And what do we mean by deeper water? Deeper water could be a 5-foot depth change. So it doesn't have to be, from 20 feet and then all of a sudden there's 200. It's just the slightest change in depth. 20 feet to 30 feet, 30 feet to 35 feet. Just that simple 5 or 10 foot depth change can be the difference between fish relating to that area or not. So it's finding those depth changes, and this is a prime example of one. 42 feet, 40 feet is not that deep, but up here, you can see right here along this wall, you've got 31 feet. So you go from 31 feet to 42 feet. That's a significant depth change that will attract predatory fish. I think this little spot right in here, so you're looking at East Reef, you got the buoy right here. Let's see if we can, East Reef buoy 1, right out in front of that, you've got that trough. I would spend a little bit of time here and do some exploring. Same type of thing. You've got this area up in here. Here's another very significant depth change. Okay? And this to me looks like it's probably mostly sand. So if you're getting around any of these types of pieces of structure here, that's going to be rock. So you've got not 100% sure, but from what it looks like to me is that you've got sand that automatically transitions into chunkier rock or gravel. And those are going to be fluke spots. So, take a look at those, and you'll start to form what's called a pattern. And we'll discuss that in another video, pattern fishing. But a lot of times, if you find a depth, you find a bottom transition, it could be the material itself. You could find, the tide, all these little factors. And you if you're catching them on a particular color at a certain depth on a certain bottom, you can actually take that same information and go to another spot it's very similar and do the same thing and have success. And that's what we call pattern fishing. It's getting the information, finding out what's working at that particular time, connecting all the dots. Oh, we were using a chartreuse S&S bucktail with a blue fuse, a 6-inch gulp, and we were in 35 feet. We started in 35 feet of water, drifted to 42, and it was a sandy bottom or a gravelly bottom, and that's where we were catching fluke. And you can take that and translate it to multiple other spots that are similar to it, and that's what we call pattern fishing. And this area is prime for that. You have a lot of very similar types of structure that go around. So that's what I would do. And then if we kind of let's head a little bit west here, take a peek. Let's see where we are over here. So we've got West Shore. There's the Housatonic over here. Let's see. New Haven Harbor. I can tell you this. New Haven Harbor, I think for the longest time, New Haven Harbor was actually where the world record striper was caught. You know, talk about, in my mind, a nighttime eel spot for big stripers. You've got a lot of different contour here. You've got the shipping channel that comes in and out. You've got lots of points. I've always felt like, you know, those kind of industrial shipping areas always seemed, you know, with those big orange lights, you know, those big, they're called high pressure sodium lights. Whatever reason, it seems like that attracts bait fish at night. And if you attract bait fish, you're going to attract predators. And stripers always, you know, it always seems like they're around that type of stuff. You know, it looks here like you've got some great opportunities to do some nighttime striper bite, or early in the morning, after kind of everything, you know, calms down for the evening and the shipping traffic and the boating traffic has calmed down. That early morning, you know, twilight topwater bite could be really good for stripers over here. Same thing. I'd focus on these, the end of these buoys over here. Same thing over here. You know, it's not that deep. I would probably spend more time focusing on this end over here. Why? Because deeper water is close by. This is New Haven Harbor entrance. They're going to use this. This is not just the highway for the ships. This is the highway for the fish. The bait fish are going to use this. The predatory fish are going to use this. They're going to use this just like the ships do. It's a highway. And this is a great stopping point. It's one of the first stopping points, I think, out here. It is. So this is the first stopping point right here at the end of this ledge, the breakwater. I have a feeling you're going to find stripers around here. Cobra bait, sad shad, any sort of topwater walking plug, a big Zero Spook, a one-knocker Zero Spook, a storm saltwater chug bug is another great lure. I would spend some time checking this out. We can move further in. Let's see what we have here. Pretty shallow going up. You know, I think, let's see here. I know we're going to have a bridge. Again, we go back to these industrial areas. There's going to be stripers up here. See, there's these big piers. You've got a lot of depth that runs up along this bank. There's going to be stripers up here. Same thing, you've got this bridge. Look at all these, look at the channel that runs up underneath the bridge. The bridge abutments. You've got a kind of channel swing out here. It runs over towards this side to the west. That all looks good. So as far as striper spots go over here, I think you've got a lot of exploring to do. You've got some opportunities, I think, for some pretty significant action. You know, you've got all these little independent islands out here. Here's another ledge. Here's a couple wrecks on here. That could be another great striper spot. Let's see, what do we have for depth here? Let's see, 30 feet, yeah. Comes up, looks like it comes up, yeah, 24. That could be another good spot. You got rocks. Could be an eel spot, you know, for at nighttime. But you've got a lot of these. I hope I've at least made it clear enough for you that, you know, you can see the difference between the two types of spots for stripers and for fluke. You know, you've got these points that come out here, any of the high spots that are going to have hard, big structure on them, shallower structure relating to deep water for stripers, and then a lot of these, you know, kind of sandbar areas where the potential for having bottom composition changes, transitions in the types of structure down there, the actual bottom change itself, from sand to gravel, gravel to rock, you name it. These areas look like they have the best opportunity for that. And there's deeper water close by. I can't emphasize that enough. Deeper water close by. It doesn't need to be deep water. Just needs to be deeper. And the deeper water is right here. That's all they need. That's all they need. I mean, this could be the area where a lot of fish hang out during the slack tide. Water drops, they move into that hole. At high tide, they kind of spread out and then they'll relate to this deeper spot. But as soon as that tide starts moving, the current's moving, they are pulling right up on this structure and using it to their advantage to feed. So anyway, I hope that really helps you out. There's a lot of cool spots over here between Faulkner Island and New Haven. So Robert, thanks for emailing us. If you have a fishing spot that you'd like me to do the same thing that we just did for Robert here, please email me, nextdriftfishing@gmail.com, and we'll do the same thing for you, whether it's freshwater, saltwater, Florida, New Jersey, Delaware, wherever you want to go. We'll check it out. We've got the ability to do that. If you like this content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks again for watching. Take care.